He was a craftsman and was willing to share with me and everyone he worked with his knowledge and skills. Reed also says his father has no
Chili dogs.
Chili dogs.
What is this?
What's on trending?
I mean, you know what's on trending.
What was that?
What the fuck?
All right, this is
Percy Jackson.
Are we gonna watch a Napoleon movie?
Are we gonna watch the Napoleon movie or Five Nights at Freddy's?
Okay, I will sit Freddy's first.
I'm down to watch Napoleon, even though I feel like I'm gonna hate the movie. I hope it looks cool. I actually kind of want to watch it.
Paintings. Have you watched Paintings?
Nope.
Right, Guido. Kai paintings.
Paintings.
NordVPN isn't
We
like
should have
the
a
other
painting
girls.
competition.
Hello, incognito
We
mode
should do it
videos
at
now.
Guy's
So
What the
we did the main channel on theater,
Buy
then
a bunch of
incognito
canvases.
mode
Yes,
on
get some
this,
easels
then there's a main
set
channel
up
on
in the
wine,
backyard.
and then an incognito mode on a bunch of stories around wine. And there's a main channel on things that people wear. There's a main channel on luxury goods, and then we round the whole thing off with
What if
two
you get
more
to be my
incognito
model?
modes.
And you gotta be
And
naked.
With pleasure.
This first section is on the basics of painting. And we were a little bit worried to show it because we kind of felt like this will split the audience. Not because it's political or anything, but because it's so basic. So someone who already knows something about art would be like, yeah, of course, why are you telling me this? But for someone like me, who knows practically zero about art, I found it really interesting, and I thought, why the heck haven't I been told this before, right? So, first, basics of painting. Action! The arts. The arts. Do not put an F in front of that. Worst mistake I ever made in my life. Alright, first, some things that'll make you go, yeah, and, or, oh, right. So look at this colorful goo. Paint. Delicious in both jam and chip form. But its raw components are just two essential things. An undissolving pigment and a medium. Now, pigments are basically just colorful dust. And the medium is the liquidy thing that the dust hangs out in. Now, the liquid determines what type of paint you have. Pigment plus water equals watercolors. Pigment plus glue equals acrylics. Pigment plus oil equals oil paints. So simple. And pigment plus moving on. Now, the pigment does not dissolve into the
What the
medium.
fuck is that?
Instead, it's just kind of suspended.
I saw a pony.
That's a dye.
It's a
So that's the basic
job.
Now, you have to transfer the paint onto the canvas. To do that, we need to talk tools. Well, first, you can just use your fingers. It was good enough for the cavemen, and it's good enough for your mom. So it's good enough for us. Then we try
So
the
surprised
brush.
my
Now,
handle.
here is the anatomy of a brush. You've got the handle, the bristles, the ferrule, and the crimp. Now, the bristles are the most important bit. First, we were just using mangled up reeds called fronds, but they got really good once we started using animal hair. Have a look at some of the animals we used. Boar, taken from the neck or the back of the pig. That is the
Horse's
kind
tail.
of brush that Van Gogh used, and it's still the gold standard for today. A goat brush. It's good, but it's not the goat. Lacks some spring, so it's mostly used for calligraphy. Badger. Now that's actually mostly used for shaving, not painting at all. Horse, raccoon, and wolf, also not great quality. But what's
Sea
the
tail.
worst quality of all? You know, the gutter oil of the brush world. Well, the worst quality is camel hair brushes, and they're mostly sold as arts and crafts brushes for kids. But the weird thing is, camel hair is so low quality that it's not even used in brushes at all. Huh? Yes, so-called camel hair brushes are actually made from cats and rabbits and squirrels.
I did that.
remember
So
I
they
can't
changed the name
believe-
to a much less cute animal, and also one that's kind of exotic, so you wouldn't question it. Now, what's the best brush of all? What is the S tier of brushes? Those are made from sable.
Oh my god, this, of course. 10 out of 10.
Now, sable is a type of weasel. These are hunted for their fur for clothing.
Weasels.
It's him.
But when they catch them to make clothes, they actually only want the body for the clothes, and so they discard the tail altogether. But those tails have the best hair for paintbrushes, and so they are snatched up by the brush makers. Now, the hair is special because it has an interlocking scales that vastly increases the surface area, but it also holds strong in the long term. Firm and bouncy, but also soft.
It's smooth, it bounces, it moves. Only with new Tresemme Keratin Smooth.
And they sell for upwards of $300
I want to go
a
hunting
brush.
just once, but I don't know how you do that just once.
All right,
Yeah,
here's
that's
a
the, like,
top 10
commitment,
list,
right?
sort of.
Yeah,
maybe
like
Mojo
what?
style
Can
of
you
the
like
most
can you
famous
hire a
paintings,
gun?
and just a few
Like, that sounds a
interesting
bit weird,
things about
doesn't
them
it?
You may not know.
Do you still need like
Let's
a
see,
license and
look
registration?
at this
I don't
painting.
know. And then how do you
More
hunt? I don't know.
Too late. Or if you answered in time, wrong answer. Happy, sad. I bet those are the only two emotions you even know. The correct answer is shame, because you are embarrassing yourself. You know nothing about the arts. So it is time to look at the best paintings to ever exist. And let's begin with the most obscure of them all. Whoever this is. The Mona Lisa. Now, I thought it went first name Mona, last name Lisa. Check it out. But turns out Mona is an honorific, meaning madam. So it's Madam Lisa. Relatively recently, historians have figured out who she actually is, and they found out that she's married to a Florentine merchant, Francesco del Giocondo. So that makes her Lisa del Giocondo, and that explains the alternative title.
I've never read backstory on the Mona Lisa.
Now, the reason she has her arms crossed and is a little bit chubby is because she's pregnant. In fact, you can kind of see that she's wearing a veil, and that particular type of veil was worn by pregnant women at the time. Her husband commissioned the painting when Da Vinci was already well known, so it would have been very expensive, and that makes it very funny for a couple of reasons. One, it was never handed over to the family. Instead, Leo left it in his will to his apprentice. And two, because for a couple of hundred years, the prevailing theory was that she was not an aristocratic wife, but instead, a prostitute. Her hair being down and her almost absent eyebrows were common traits of working girls at the time. Anyway, why is this painting so famous? Well, Da Vinci was already pretty famous, and the painting got stolen. This became a very big news story, and her face suddenly started getting plastered on a whole bunch of newspapers and wanted posters, making her very recognizable. From there, she became the most famous painting, which is why she always looks so smug. Starry Night, Vincent van Gogh.
Yeah, I sure hope it does.
Painted while he was in the St. Paul de Musol Asylum. That's here.
Lame joke.
And this was the view from his bedroom window. Here is the
Can't believe
real
they
view
turned
a few decades
this
later.
Doctor Who character
He
into a
chose
real
not to
thing.
paint the metal bars. Now, you can see that there are 11 stars in the sky here. Supposedly, that's reference to Joseph from the Bible. Joseph, he had a hard life. The minivan, he had a hard life too. And he hoped that he would be remembered, at least once he was gone, like Joseph. And you know what? It worked out for him because everybody remembers Van Gogh, and nobody remembers the guys who bullied him and called him a ginger. Also, there's kind of a theory that he was killed by some kid. Go check out Wendigoon's channel for more information on that one. The birth of Venus. Alright, let me tell you what's happening in this one. So,
I've never seen
there's
this.
this lady, Venus. She is the goddess of beauty.
Is that weird?
And she is coming up out of the ocean in a big clam, right? Now, the clam is not a metaphor for her vagina. It's that she is the perfect pearl. Get it? Now, these two here are a divine wind. They are blowing her like a hot spoonful of soup towards the shore.
Can I be
And
next?
she is
She's right.
carried all the way over to the beach. And this beach, by the way, is a real place called Paphos. It's in Cyprus. Here is what it looks like in real life. Now, when she arrives on the beach, a nymph shows up, which is this lady here, and she has a cloak, and she throws the cloak over Venus, and she says, "You know what? You're very special. One day they're gonna name a 4-blade razor after you." Arrangement in black and grey number 1. Also known as Whistler's Mother, most famous for its appearance in the Mr. Bean movie. Now, when Whistler's mother originally agreed to be painted, she agreed to be painted standing up, but she had to pose for so long that eventually she got quite tired and had to sit down. There you go. And that became the famous pose. The Garden of Earthly Delights. Alright, this one is probably my favorite because it looks like a Where's Waldo, and then the whole thing just goes completely off the rails. So, Mr. Hieronymus, that's a name that's going to make a comeback, is doing all of this cool surreal stuff about 500 years ago. So let's start on the list. Here is Adam and Eve, and the pre-incarnation
I've not seen half
of
these
Jesus,
fucking
and
paintings.
they are all hanging out in the
I'm
garden.
uncultured at this
Now,
point.
what's going on in the middle of it? That's
Why have I seen
harder
it?
to explain. The best theory is either that this is
Yeah, I
Eden,
don't know, why
if
have you
people
seen-
were allowed back into the garden, or if they had never left in the first place, or if man had not committed original sin. But look at the size of that
Well,
strawberry.
we didn't. Let's clarify.
Oh, here he is.
Was it
Then on the
men
right-hand
that
panel
committed that
is
sin?
hell, or at
Alright.
least a very bad time. This
Okay.
is where Oddlaw would end up. That son of a bitch. Right. Now, here's the interesting bit. It's not painted on a typical canvas. It's actually a sort of cabinet thing with 3 panels called a triptych. And the neat thing is, if you close the doors, more painting. That is the earth, and that is the firmament. A perfect balance between flat earth and globe theory. A Sunday afternoon on the island of La Grangette. This thing is pretty big, and here's the real-life place it was painted after. Although they've beautified it even more with the office building at the back. What you may not know is that it is actually a sequel. First, George Seurat painted the left bank, and that's where all the working class sit. You see these guys that, you know, have a bit less money and stuff. Gross! And then this is the one that you all know, and that is on the right-hand bank. And all these people are a very bougie sort. That is Scrappy-Doo. And that's a monkey. The Last Supper. Okay, so the scene is this.
Think this one?
All the disciples are gathered around, and this is the exact moment that Jesus declares, "Hey, by the way, I know one of you betrayed me." And this is everyone's shocked reaction to the news. Except this one guy who's just pretending to be shocked. And here is who everyone is. I thought this was Mary, by the way. Turns out that's John. Very
Wait, what?
progressive.
It's
And that's
not
all of the
Magdalene?
paintings, and no one has attempted one since.
serious?
And awake
I
up.
don't know.
Quickly, flip the Nord logo. Mariana Street. Flip it the other way.
Skip,
3
skip,
pyramids.
skip.
There's not much time. I've got to
You don't
log
know
into
about
NordVPN so the
NordVPN?
corporations can't
Nope.
track me. Marketing companies, gangsters. Plus
Oh.
4 bonus months. Ad over. Alright, so this one is about how to spot a fake painting. I quite like this section, but it kind of got bogged down by all of its technical information, and it went quite long. So, here it is. For the discerning audience. How to spot a fake painting. Glug, glug, glug. Oh my god. Is that a real Michelangelo?
Real-time reaction. Sean Spang.
We're here now. Quick hypothetical lower tax brackets. If paintings like this one or this one go for
Kafka
literally
have-
gajillions of dollars, that's USD, then what's to stop someone from doing this? Then this, and then this, then this, and then
Kafka have
saying
like a
it's real
disgusted.
when it ain't.
I
You
have no
know,
idea. I've never gotten
faking
into
a
the
painting.
camera mode.
Turns out, Not much at all. In fact, it can be very difficult to tell these fake-ass paintings.
Wish there was an
from the
option
ones
in
that keep it real.
photo mode to
There's a
take
whole
off the
ass
makeup on her
art
eyes.
to detecting these fakes, and it's become an art.
That's not confused.
Authenticators find new ways of detecting, and the
How is she
fakers find
confused?
new ways to get around their methods.
Technology's advanced. Do you think that makes it harder to make good forgeries?
Nah, you can beat the fringe.
That's alright.
So, authentication. There are three
And
main
that looks
categories. Provenance,
That's surprising.
connoisseurship, forensics. Let's start in alphabetical order. Provenance. Now, provenance follows the history of the painting, tracking down the previous sellers and the buyers.
From a glance, does it not look like hard eyes?
The hand-to-hand that it was passed through, all the way back to the original painter. However, the older the work, the harder it is generally to track the provenance. Take, for example, the most expensive
How are her
painting
glasses
ever
stuck on her head?
sold. The Salvator Mundi, the final Da Vinci, sold in 2017 for $400 million, and it can only be traced back to 1958. Back then, it was sold for £45. But in the other 500 years of its history, no one knew where this thing was. Even today, people still dispute whether it's genuine.
I think it's a real flim-flam. And this is a made-up piece of junk. I think it's fake art news. Real in drag. And then it shows up in America? In New Orleans? Oh, I see. I think we've wished this Da Vinci into existence. Here's the lost Leonardo that somebody once mentioned in a book.
Provenance has gotten a lot easier over time. You used to have to track down books and read catalogs and stuff, but now it's all online. Control plus F, there it is. So you see, kid, there's nothing online. Nothing. Tell me who you bought this from, you son of a bitch. Where did you get this? Tell me the name of the auction house that sold you it. Connoisseurship. Look at the work. Do you believe what you are seeing? How does it look? How does it taste? Are these ballpoint pen strokes those of a master artist?
Just because they had the mask on, they really made no change to the eyes.
Focusing on single artists.
I've been dealing with Leonardo for, I suppose, about 50 years.
They can pick out the fakes.
So,
for example, when he was looking at La Bella Principessa, he went, yup, he uses the trois crayon. He's a left-handed artist. The proportions of the head and the face are all correct. You know what? I'm going to give this a big rubber stamp right there in the middle of the painting. Confirmed. So, for the fakers, they have to have a keen understanding of who they are copying. One of the best fakers, Almir de Hore, for example, mastered the brushstrokes of artists such as Matisse, Modigliani, and Renoir so well that hundreds of museums are currently in possession of his works without even knowing it. Yes, well, Michelangelo is famous for his cangiante painting techniques, and I can't see any of that here. You're 0 for 2, kid. You're going down. Forensics. This thing's going straight to the lab. You're about to have a paint brush up with the law. Masterpiece? More like you're a real masterpiece of shit, kid. Alright, now the people that solve murders have really changed the game when it comes to art forgeries by implementing radiocarbon dating. Radiocarbon dating. Carbon dating? Yeah, but it's not serious. Listen, you're made out of carbon, I'm made out of carbon. Paintings are made out of carbon. And when a thing is made out of carbon, there are these unusual isotopes of carbon-14, right? They're floating all throughout the air and the atmosphere. Now, all living things contain a trace of them. They are taken in when something eats, breathes, anything else. And that happens continuously throughout
This
the
is
life
how
cycle.
I know
However,
science is not
when the
real.
organism
This
dies,
isn't like this
it
is magic.
stops
That's
taking
not
new
you
carbon,
can't.
right? Which
That
means it stops
carbon
taking
date?
new
That's what the
carbon-14.
fuck is
Same
that
thing
mean?
happens to a painting. You've stopped putting paint on the thing, no more carbon. Carbon-14 is an unstable isotope, and it decays at a very steady rate. Poof. It turns into nitrogen-14 and a beta particle. Beta! And because these carbon-14 atoms decay at a very steady rate, In principle, you can look at the proportional number of carbon-14 atoms and determine how old something is. More carbon-14, newer painting. Less carbon-14, older painting. In 1985, using this technique, they caught a guy, Robert Trotter, who forged a Sarah Hon painting. Far too many carbon-14 atoms. Lock 'em up, boys. But there are even simpler methods of testing the age of a pigment. 3 Jackson Pollock paintings were found to be fake when it was determined that the pigments on the canvas weren't sold until the 1960s. But Pollock was dead by 1956. Nowadays, there are huge pigment libraries that can be easily cross-referenced. So that shows the year a pigment was first introduced and what year it stopped being used. For example, anything that has titanium white has to have been produced in the last 80 years. I'm going to be honest with you, kid. Michelangelo never used the yellow Crayola. Excellent. Now, you can blast this thing with some radiation and look behind the painting to see what's underneath.
He actually doesn't juggle it?
Did the artist do a sketch first? Maybe this is painted over something else. If you look behind the Mona Lisa, you can actually see that she had a much larger head once, although maybe it just shrunk with age. And you can see that veil much more easily. Also, if you x-ray even further, you can see her fully formed skeleton. But the art forgers of today are a wily bunch. Forgers can source old canvases from the correct period. They can use error-matching pigments. Even the carbon dating can be a bit unreliable. Heck, even the x-rays can be bullshitted, as forgers take into account that their work will be x-rayed, as they do a sort of fake painting or sketch first, and then paint the next version on top. Alright, kid, I'll give you $20,000 for this, or a shiny new bottle of Ritalin. Works every time. This section is about Shakespeare. Wow, that would make so much sense for it to be in the theatre video on the main channel. This dude showed up and changed the game. Shakespeare. Here's the thing though, we basically know nothing about him. First, we don't know what he looked like. There are 2 best guesses. One is from this engraving on a first folio, but that wasn't put together until 7 years after he was already dead. One of his peers, Ben Jonson, knew him though and said, yeah, it's pretty close. So maybe. The second is a bust that was made for his grave. There are a bunch of others, but they weren't commissioned by Shakespeare himself. They weren't done while he was alive, and he didn't exactly stop to pose for them. But these are the ones we most recognize him by. This includes Chandos, which is probably the most recognizable. So this could be him, or this could be some completely other dude, or it could be an idealized version. Now, we also don't know exactly when he was born, or when he died, or how he died. His birthday is celebrated on the 23rd of April, but there's no record of that. And then he died on the 23rd of April as well. So he died on his birthday? Odd coincidence. But we know that he did marry a lady named Anne Hathaway. Yes, same as Catwoman, but this one was the original. We also don't even really know how to spell his name. There are tons of different signatures by him, but they're practically all spelt differently. And let's not even get started on the conspiracies of whether or not he really wrote his plays. The son of 2 illiterate parents from a lower-class neighborhood suddenly becoming the world's greatest playwright? Bit suspicious. Also, whether he was gay, or worse, whether he was foreign, or what the hell is going on with his grave. So if you go to the Holy Trinity Church in Stratford, there is his grave. There he lays. But
He
there
wasn't
is an
foreign.
engraving above him. Blessed be the
He
man
gotta be,
who
or he
spares
spoke pretty good
the
fucking English.
Who moves my bow.
Was he gay?
Cursed, you see.
No, his name
You're
is
not allowed
Penis
to
Spear.
dig him up.
Like,
So
no,
everyone
it's
is super spooked out by
like
the curse and they
Shakespeare.
refuse to dig him
His
up.
name's a dick
So,
joke, bro.
archaeologists instead have done
What are you
radar.
talking about? Of course he was
He's
gay.
making dick
Turns out
jokes and
his
like.
head was missing. He was grave robbed.
I swear, like half the fucking
1794.
jokes in
So we can't even
Shakespeare are fucking
reconstruct him
dick
that way.
jokes.
And they won't open it up for DNA tests. So it's likely that we will never know the truth.
I would argue
The
that dick
government
jokes are a
is
straight
hiding
thing.
something. The point is, Shakespeare
Keep telling
stole
yourself.
the theatre. With Shakespeare. In 1590, Shakespeare was
Yeah, we're
working
getting on
as a
that tip now.
playwright with his acting troupe called the Lord Chamberlain's Men. Now, they were
That
leasing
worked out.
out
What are
a
you talking
theatre
about?
in Shoreditch called the Theatre. Creative name. Anyway, they had a disagreement with the
Still need
landlord,
an answer.
Giles Allen. Giles revoked
Which
their
one of us
lease.
are?
Shakespeare
I
and the
need to know.
Chamberlains were not very happy about that, but they had no option but to walk away.
You can sort
But
it
a
out
few
between
days
yourself.
later, in the
That
dead
is,
of
I
night,
almost.
they
He's
came
baiting
back.
us. Don't fall for the
They
trap,
met just
Mervin.
outside the
Stay.
theatre, and
She's
then they
not
bribed the
stronger.
watchman
Get
to
stronger.
look the other way.
Yeah, I'm gonna win.
Then, with
I
He's
guns
trying
and
to-
tools in hand,
He's
they
trying to
broke
make us
into the
falter.
theatre. Now, they weren't there to kill Giles.
What do you mean?
And
You
they
make
weren't
the
there
assessment
to
yourself.
steal
You
stuff
said the
from theatre.
words, not us.
I said
They
about
were there
myself.
to
Yeah, but
rob
you can
the
only
theatre.
say
They
that
tore
you're
down the
more of
entire
something if you
piece
have
by
already thought
and they
how
started carting it
much
away to
we
the
are.
warehouse. From there,
I didn't
they
think
ferried
that
it
deep. I just
across
had like
the
a
Thames
general
and over
idea
to Southwark.
of
With
like
the
me,
materials
not you
they
guys.
stole, they constructed
I don't
the
know.
Globe
I don't
Theatre.
know.
And
You can't be
there it
making.
stood for
Mervin,
the
I'm not
next
crazy, am I?
14 years
You can't be making
until it
judgments like that
broke down. Whoops. It was a
without
performance of Henry VIII,
assessing
and a prop
where
cannon
you
was
stand,
involved. Don't worry about that.
where everyone else stands as well.
But then in
I'm trying to
1642
think
it
of
was shut
something
down
I
again.
would
But in
have done, but, like,
1997,
nothing's
a
coming.
Are you
recreation of the
joking?
Globe Theatre was made once
I,
more,
that's it.
and in London,
Yeah,
visited,
yeah. It's
as
kind
long
of
as you can
sus.
avoid being stabbed. And now for the best section of all.
Come on, people, we're ready to shoot. Where's the pizza box with the hole in it?
Oh, never mind, that's my cue. I gotta go. Catch you soon. Don't forget NordVPN.
Just. We will get an answer out of you guys.
I'm starting to think you're the most gay now.
You son of a bitch.
Who's Professor Lando again?
That's the femboy guy.
No,
He
which-
was a part of Hololive. He was the wizard, I think.
Okay. Maggie?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of femboys.
Illusions of the past. Blade of me. Do not concern yourself with the outcome.
Yeah, it's an uploaded, you're right. No. How's your Stalker playthrough, Arson? What do you...
Crunker? I'll take that as a no. What is whiteboard?
I would assume it's what it says.
Kids, do not, do not put this on stream.
Oh, predictable shenanigans.
They get saved for 90 days. Why is he so tall? Why do you look like penis?
Settings. Where are you getting that?
How are you drawing bucks?
Oh, that's me. Where are you drawing, Harrison?
This is not like Japan. It's like flags. Oh.
Okay, no wonder you don't want this on stream.
We go.